All right, good morning, guys. It is 40 minutes after 9 o'clock on this Tuesday. I know we haven't had too much time to rest, right? I'm wave meteorologist Brian Good. Welcome to Storm Talk. I know, Ashley, I feel your pain. Still not snow talk, at least not yet. Yes, we are still expecting a colder than normal pattern to emerge as we head further into the month of March. But that not within range yet to really get into much discussion on. So we're going to hold off on that because we have a lot to cover just in the next 3 days alone is going to keep us busy. So I know we had the really strong wind yesterday. I think we maxed out at 64 miles per hour into Louisville for a wind gust. We set a record high on top of that. And yes, we're about to do it again. We're about to deal with more record warmth coming our way, more strong winds, and even more chances at some severe weather. Some of it you may have not even heard of yet. Could be in the offing because a lot of the data has been changing here in just the past several hours alone. So let's start with the latest on the outlook. And if you have any questions or comments, as always, are on social media. Just heard from, was it Pedro? I think it's Pedro somewhere. Saw you on YouTube right now watching. So again, it's YouTube, Facebook, and on Twitter there. I'll try to catch those in time, and I apologize in advance if I miss them. All right, so this is going to change. This is the outlook for, today's outlook's not going to change. I think we'll be fine today. Tomorrow's and even part of Thursday could very well begin to change for us, but tomorrow I think is more at risk. And then we may very well find ourselves with another outlook on Friday. Let me explain how this all is going to unfold. Get your number 2 pencil ready. And here we go. We'll start with a beautiful setup today. As I mentioned, today will be the quiet day for us. A mix of sun and clouds. Not a completely sunny scenario in all areas, but we've got some decent sun breaks. Temperatures actually won't be bad today at all. Close to that 60-degree mark, so a relatively comfortable day. And would actually be a very big headline of a day for the end portion here of February to be warm as 60 degrees. But we've been so accustomed to warm weather as of late that 60 is like, oh, okay. No big deal. Quiet now, but what's going to evolve in the next 24 hours, a couple of factors here. We'll start with Futurecast to get you through the daytime period of your Wednesday. Now, tomorrow morning's going to start off a little cool, a little bit of valley fog, possible temperatures in the 40s. We get to 10 o'clock in the morning. Now, here's the thing about 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Actually, it's more about 10:07 tomorrow morning. That is when the test tornado drill for the state of Kentucky will commence. So at 10:07, A lot of the devices will go off, whether radios, the air raid sirens in Jefferson County, anywhere in Kentucky, will all go off. So if you're even in Clark County, you may be able to still hear the sirens across the river into Kentucky as the statewide drill takes place. I think Indiana is next week, I believe, is your drill. But at 10:07, this is a test run for schools. You guys remember this since you were a kid, right? Schools, hospitals, even at your home, it's a good time to try it out. Now, what makes it complex, and some years we luck out and it's a quiet setup on days where we have tornado drills for the statewide drill. And there's some years where they just are just not on good days. Now, tomorrow overall daytime period, I think will be a nice day. In fact, it is very likely, based on some of the numbers I'm looking at, we're going to hit 80 degrees tomorrow. The record high is at 77, set back at the bicentennial back in the 70s. So it's likely to fall tomorrow based on what I'm seeing. What really is a concern is what's going to happen tomorrow night, because we're going to get a lot of warm air play. It'll be a breezy setup, not overly windy like yesterday, but it will be a noticeable wind during the afternoon tomorrow. And again, record warmth will be at play. It's really going to be tomorrow night where things start to change. Now, you see cloud cover begins to increase. A lot of this is high clouds, by the way. You see even this model, which tends to run a little cool, is already getting close to 80 for a high temperature. But notice as we head into 7, 8 o'clock at night, thunderstorms begin to pop on the radar. Now, a couple of things with this. One, the air is dry during the daytime. Quite dry, in fact, which is the reason why I think the record high is easily going to be reached, and I think 80 is going to be easily reached. Now, the atmosphere is going to try to turn upside down, basically, as we head into tomorrow night and allow for moisture to surge ahead of a cold front that will be moving in across Indianapolis and southern Illinois around sunset. Now, what you can't see on this map is just south of here, there will be thunderstorms that will be likely ongoing into Tennessee, especially around Nashville. Typically, when we see thunderstorms that elongate along I-40 to the south, they can begin to block some of the moisture flow and that return moisture trying to feed back into Kentucky and therefore keep us relatively tame. But that's a big if. If we do not see that block take place, then we will have enough moisture getting infused into this cold front tomorrow night to where thunderstorms will take advantage of that. And just about all molds would be on the table. And I'm talking about large hail in some cases, damaging winds, and even an isolated tornado threat would exist. So now you see why it's out of the days that we're having a tornado test drill day. It's important to just kind of review your plan tomorrow morning when they do the drill. It's going to be beautiful out. It's going to be a warm day. It will be overcast in the afternoon, but I don't think anyone's mindset when you hear the sirens tomorrow is going to be, oh no, a tornado was about to hit, because it will not look like that at all. Actually, it will look very, very nice. So I'm glad for that, because we had gloomy clouds over the city, which has happened before in some years. It's some people, if they're not fully up to date on the forecast, think that something is about to happen. So in tomorrow's case, we're good for the drill time. The air is too dry. So, and be clear on that part. It's tomorrow night that there is a window to work with here where there could be strong to severe storms that may try to fire. Now, the Storm Prediction Center does not have us in an outlook yet. I do think there is some room here that they can easily add that. The problem will be it's cross time over into the day part, into early Thursday, but I think tomorrow evening is pretty fair. And again, I'm thinking it's going to be after sunset. Okay, so that moves on out of here. The cold front moves by. We calm things down. Should end up with a relatively calm Thursday daytime. But then Thursday night into Friday, our next system rolls in. And this one is a big one, just like Monday's was. All right, this one is going to have a bit more moisture to work with, but there will be another round of rain and wind. I think the warm front rain, if you will, is going to line up for the morning commute on Friday. Hopefully it doesn't line up perfectly with it, but there could be a messy setup for the morning with heavy rain in the area. The low itself is going to track to our north. Interesting enough, it was about a week ago, I believe it was. The low was way to our south, and it was giving us the chance at a big snow for our area. Boy, that has changed big time. It's back to its northern idea, which has been the theme as of late. And you see, as we head toward mid-morning Friday, this is the time period to watch, because at this point, the cold front portion of this is going to want to form a squall line of thunderstorms. So I don't know how organized this will be. It could be a broken line of cells. It may be a solid line. We don't know yet. But we do know that this is the warm front here Here's the cold front. Remember what I said, to the right of a cold front and south of a warm front, that is your warm sector. That is the spot you always got to watch in a severe weather setup for any strong thunderstorm potential and even isolated tornadoes that can try to form, especially once you get into this sector here. Looks like I drew the flag. Anyway, you see the idea. We could certainly see that triple point, is what we call that, get awful close to the Ohio River around midday on Friday. A lot could still change. It's Tuesday. So even if we were to get the rain Friday morning, which we run into often, linger longer than expected, that would completely take away the severe threat for the rest of the day. So there is still some room here where this could be, I don't want to say a bust because it's not really a forecast yet, but you get the idea. I do think there are things to tame down this narrative. But given the dynamics of this low and the pattern we've been in, I don't think we can let our guard down on this one. It moves in during the daytime. Again, not good. We don't want a daytime passage, but that looks to be the setup there. Right now, it would favor a setup that would be similar to what Eastern Kentucky just went through, where a lot of the storms tried to fire up more in that area of the state, not so much west of I-65. But notice the white lines, the isobars. Once again, they do line up and do indicate a lot of strong wind in the area. What was that, Pedro? Thank you for asking, by the way, and thanks for being on YouTube. Appreciate that. When you see more of you on YouTube. Couldn't hear when the drill was. It would be for the state of Kentucky, and it would be at 10:07 Eastern time in the morning. 10:07 is the time. Give or take a minute. Usually it takes a while for everyone to type everything up and hit the buttons for that day. All right, so after that moves on by, we do get colder. There's a narrow window that snow may try to wrap around with this Friday night, but typically with these lows, the snow band itself will actually move with the low, of course, so that would just keep going northeast. So the chance of a wraparound is slim unless it slows down and tries to cut more north. Then you can get a wraparound that can go a little more south, but right now there's not a growing signal for that to be the case. So here's the summary. Here's the game plan. This is the whole point of the blog today. Hopefully this will help. Again, tomorrow afternoon, it's all about record warmth coming our way. Once we get into the evening hours, I'll say 6 p.m., but it could be as late as 8 p.m. and as late as midnight, to be honest with you. But I really should have typed after sunset, because I really do think it's going to be after sunset. Strong thunderstorms possible after that window. Again, conditional on what happens in Tennessee. How much moisture can actually go up 65 and get here. If it's blocked, ain't going to happen. Friday, pre-dawn, heavy rainfall could move into the AM commute. That's issue number one to watch. Issue number two would be potential for midday strong thunderstorms and a line to move over 65. But once again, it's I-65 to I-75 that would likely feature the greatest potential. And then Friday in general, there will be just a strong gradient wind. I don't know if we'll get to the levels we saw yesterday, because yesterday was really driven by that amount of mixing that we had. The sunny setup really drove home those really strong wind gusts. If we end up on a more rainier side of the spectrum here on this on Friday, you can create that shield we talked about that can sometimes tame down wind forecast considerably. So there is the chance for that to happen. But I do think in this scenario, I do think there will be an opportunity for strong winds to accompany any thunderstorm as well. We haven't had too many thunderstorms involved in this scenario so far. It's all been gradient wind. Yeah, yesterday's few supercells that tried to form on the radar in Indiana were the exception. We really haven't had too much of that. It's been mainly gradient wind. I think Friday will feature both, but one can easily at least somewhat cancel out the other. We'll see what happens on that. But a lot to watch. Again, that's Wednesday and Friday. Those are the 2 days that we are watching, and then we'll get a break again for the weekend, and we'll reset and do this all over again in some fashion next week. I really haven't looked too much in the long term because there's too much in the short term. But I can tell you the signal is still there to get colder, but what that all means in the narrative down the road, I don't know yet. All right, any questions? Ashley, any endpoint to Wednesday? It's a cold front, so yeah, there will be an endpoint. I don't know the exact time because the front will be very much tilted and slanted, so it'll be an earlier time for Cincinnati and a later time for, say, Grayson County. If I had to put a window on it, I would say probably 1 or 2 a.m. Somewhere around that range is probably when the front would pass by. But again, keep in mind, that's a very conditional threat on what happens in Tennessee. Amanda, it has been so windy this year. It has. We've been Pulling over the stats, I'm sure you saw Ryan Hoke's tweet yesterday talking about it was the 16th strongest wind gusts we've had on record in Louisville since those records have been capped at all the international. So that's remarkable. So yesterday's wind event was significant for sure. Everyone is over the wind. I agree. Everyone is over it. And Lynn, your opinion, are we done with the snow for this season? In my opinion, no, we are not done with the snow. But I'm not sure my opinion matters. But that's my opinion for now. So Cassie, I have a flight. Cassie, you fly all the time. I have a flight out of, SDF to Tampa on Friday at 3 p.m. It might be worth it if you don't want to deal with any delays. There could be some delays. If not here, there could be delays. This is going to be such a big system. Chicago will likely have delays. Atlanta will likely have delays. So Cassie, just taking Louisville out of the equation for now, other hubs, depending on if you're a direct flight and how much activity Tampa will be getting that afternoon. 3 p.m. is a tough time. You run into delays in the morning. You know how they just build through the day. So, yeah, that may be something to look into a little more deeper there. I hope that helps you out on that end. Rebecca, how high is the tornado threat for Friday in Southern Indiana? It's not high, but it's certainly not zero because, again, you're right at that triple point of that low pressure, the box I drew. Southern Indiana is not out of the woods on that just yet. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it there for now. I'm going to go and get started on some of the midday data to decide if we are going to need alert days and when and what times to place them. And again, I want to make sure that I try to be as clear as I can, especially with tomorrow's radar drill. I don't want you guys to get anything confused about the sirens going off tomorrow morning because, again, tomorrow morning, everything's good. We're fine. This is tomorrow night that we're talking about, and it's still an if. And then the Friday setup, there's a lot of moving parts there on Friday. We just don't know yet how it will all play out, but it is a very dynamic system. So just like we've seen with the past several, we've got to watch them. Got to watch them carefully, and hopefully you guys are just trying to take in the heads up as much as you can, and we're going to try to keep you updated as we get more data that rolls in. All right, I'm going to run for now. You guys are great and awesome as always. Stay out of trouble. I'll see you guys coming up on midday.